Hello, everyone. I am back. I am Sheeta, and this is Life with Sheeta. It's been a while since I've done a video, but I am here today. I will be doing a voiceover throughout this video because there's way too much noise in my house. I'm so excited. Today, we're doing my grandma's special recipe for a red velvet cake. Now, let's get started. Alright, you guys, so as you can see, I have all my ingredients measured out and ready to go. Everything is on the counter, accessible for me to easily get to it. I will be explaining to you guys how much of everything I am using as I am adding it. So let's do it. Alright, guys, so here I am just looking over my grandmother's recipe, making sure I understand all her directions and got the ingredients right. At this point, I am ready to start. I have my mixer together. The first ingredient I'm going to add is some vegetable shortening, as you can see here. And I will be adding a cup of that. So here you can see me with my cup, and I'm just going to scoop it into my mixer, like so. Just trying to make sure I get every bit of it out. Alright, so the shortening is in the mixer. Now I have my sugar, which is 2 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm going to add that into the mixer with the shortening. Just dumping it all in there. Just had to make sure all of it was out. I'm so extra sometimes. Okay, so now at this point, I am going to mix those two together until it's light and fluffy, well mixed. I'm putting my safeguard on just to make sure nothing jumps out of my mixer. And now it is time to mix. All right, so after my shortening and my sugar have been mixed, I have scraped the sides. I'm going to move on to the next ingredient, which are the eggs. This recipe calls for 3 eggs. I will be adding them one at a time. So I will add 1 egg, mix, and then I will be adding another egg, mixing, and then the last egg, mixing. These eggs have been sitting out for a little while. I just want them to be at room temperature before I use them in this recipe. So here I am about to mix the first egg, and I'll repeat this step 2 more times for the other 2. So here I wanted to show you guys what the mixture is looking like after the 3 eggs have been added to the shortening and the sugar. It's really light, really fluffy. This is the look and consistency that you want at this point. But yeah, that's what we're looking like so far. Okay, so at this point, you want to grab a bowl. As you can see here, I have my bowl out. I grabbed a spoon because now we're going to mix the cocoa, which I'm using Hershey's cocoa. And we're also going to mix the food coloring in this bowl. So we're going to mix those two ingredients in this bowl before adding it to our mixture. But right here, I have 2 tablespoons of cocoa. And here is my red food coloring. And I have 3 bottles of the 1 ounce food coloring in red. Ooh, had a hard time getting that out. But I will be adding all 3 bottles to this cocoa. Just want to make sure we get that deep red color of a red velvet cake. Here you can see me pouring food coloring in the cocoa, and I'm just going to mix and add food coloring bottle one at a time, mixing after each bottle. So right here we have the food coloring and cocoa mixture. After mixing all 3 bottles into the cocoa, I am now about to mix that into my mixture, my cake mixture. So here I am pouring the mixture into my cake batter. I'm using a spatula to do this just to make sure I get everything out of the bowl. It's supposed to create like a paste kind of thing. So yeah, here I am pouring all of it, making sure everything is out of the bowl into the batter. And then once all of it is out of the bowl, we are going to mix this on low just to make sure everything is well blended and mixed together. I put my safeguard on just to make sure nothing comes flying out of the mixer. And as you can see here, that deep red velvet color coming through. Yes. Wanted to give you guys a quick shot of what our batter is looking like at this point. This is with the food coloring added into our cake batter. Real light, real fluffy, and that deep red. For the next step, we will be preparing our flour to go into our batter. This recipe calls for all-purpose flour, and this is 3 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. To my flour, I will be adding salt, 1 teaspoon, sorry guys, I never seem to have all my tools when I need them. I had to go grab my whisk, and I'm going to mix the salt and the all-purpose flour together. Just make sure it's mixed pretty well before adding. So now we are going to get ready to mix our flour, vanilla extract, and buttermilk. We will be using 1 cup of buttermilk. And we will also be using 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, which is what I have in my measuring cup. And I'm going to alternate between the three. So I'm going to pour some flour in, then I'm going to pour a little buttermilk and then vanilla extract. I'm going to alternate this mixture 3 times, mixing after each time. After alternating between the flour, buttermilk, and vanilla extract, I'll be adding my baking soda, and it's 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. After adding it to my batter, I'm then going to mix. Make sure to scrape the sides of your pan. You want to make sure everything is mixed and blended pretty well. At this point in the process of making this cake, it should be smooth and fluffy. That is the consistency that you will want for your cake. Now for the final ingredient for our cake will be vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar and it will be 1.5 tablespoons of vinegar. Now I will be adding this to my cake mixture and blending very well. Again, the cake should be light and fluffy at this point. And you just want to make sure it stays that way so when it's done, you have a nice, moist, light, and fluffy cake. So as I said, after adding my apple cider vinegar, I'm going to mix and blend, and that will be the final ingredient to our cake batter. Two 9-inch cake pans. I ran out of Baker's Joy spray, so I had to end up using my butter flavored spray instead. But they are prepped and ready to go. Here I have my cake batter, and I am just going to mix it one last time just to make sure everything is pretty well blended and mixed together. As you can see, it does have that red velvet color, and it is also smooth, fluffy mixture. It did get a little thicker once I added the flour, of course, but it still has that smooth, fluffy texture that you want for your cake. As I have been preparing my cake, my oven has been preheating to 350 degrees. It has now reached its temperature and is ready for our cake. You want to make sure when you're filling your cake pans, you're not filling them to the very top and that you are adding equal amounts of batter to each pan. You do want your cake levels to be equal, and you also do not want it to overflow in the oven. Once you have filled your cake pans, leveled everything out, everything looks good to you, then they are ready for the oven. So this is what my cakes are looking like so far once they have been filled and leveled out. And now they are about to go into the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. Make sure after 30 minutes you're checking it to see if it's done or not, just to make sure you don't overcook them or burn them. Here are the cakes. After about 40 minutes, as you can see all the holes in them where I checked to make sure they were done. And now they are cooling. I'm going to let them cool for about 20 minutes before putting icing on them. But let's get to making the icing. So here we are about to make our icing. It's been about 20 minutes since I took the cakes out of the oven. They have cooled. I am now going to start with the icing. So I will be adding about 4 tablespoons of vegetable shortening to my mixer. Your 4 tablespoons of shortening has been added. You are now going to add half a stick of butter. I have let this butter sit out till it was room temperature. Just going to put that in my mixer with the shortening. The next thing I'm going to add is cream cheese. I use 1 bar of an um, 8 ounce bar of cream cheese. That also has set out to room temperature. And I'm just going to add that into my mixer as well. Now I'm going to get me a spatula that I can kind of maneuver the cream cheese bar around a little bit because it's just sitting there. So yeah, I'm just going to push that over. And now we are going to blend those ingredients together until it's real nice and smooth. Once your ingredients have been blended pretty well, make sure you scrape down the sides of your bowl. The next thing we're going to add is going to be vanilla extract. It's going to be 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You would just put that in the bowl with the cream mixture. And our final ingredient to our icing is going to be powdered sugar. We're going to use this entire box of powdered sugar. So you just pour the whole box into your mixing bowl. Once your entire box of powdered sugar has been added to your mixture, you want to make sure you're mixing and blending it very well. Make sure to scrape down the sides of your bowl. You just want to make sure it's smooth and fluffy consistency of icing. You want to make sure everything is blended very well so that you can add it to your cake. So we made it to the end. We made it to the end of this journey, this long process of making this cake, all these different ingredients. We've made it to the end. We are now icing our cake. I'm pretty sure everyone knows how to ice a cake. I really just want to come back and explain to you guys how I did mine. I wanted a 2-layer cake, so I did one cake out of the cake pan. I put it on top of my cake plate. I iced it a little, and then I put the second cake on top of that. And now I'm going to ice the top of that cake, and then I'm going to ice the sides. I wanted a double layer cake. You can ice your cake however you want to. You can use however much or however little icing you like. This, and I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. This recipe for icing did make a good amount of icing. You do not have to use all of it in its entirety. I just wanted to because it was so delicious and I wanted to put every bit of it on my cake, and I did. But this turned out absolutely delicious. This cake was so good. It just didn't make any sense. It was just really good. I'm not a big red velvet cake fan, but I am a fan of this cake. This cake is really good. You guys definitely should try it. It was awesome. Well worth the wait. All right, everyone. So here we are, our red velvet cake. Grandma's red velvet cake with homemade cream cheese icing. Here is our cake all iced up, good to go, ready to slice, all that good and wonderful stuff. Had my whole house smelling so good. So you knew I had to cut it. You just know I did. One more quick glimpse of our finished product, especially after it's been sliced into. I want to thank you all for watching my video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you for all the love. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being with me on this journey, this YouTube journey. This is totally new for me, totally different for me, but I'm enjoying every bit of it. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.